yesterday, and I'm wondering whether President Obama will. He got, what was it, 98% of the black vote?
He got 95%. I'll make a prediction. I don't think he will get that. I'm predicting 89%, but still.
You think it'll drop below 90?
I think. Just because of the issue of same-sex marriage and because of all the viral videos out there saying, if you're a Christian, you need to leave the Democratic Party. Look what they're doing on abortion,
Well, they booed
killing
God.
black babies and that kind of stuff. And maybe not. Maybe not.
I know these guys were upset with, the same-sex marriage switch by President Obama that, they were saying, we're Christians first, and we can't vote for a fella who's going to be for two men getting married. And so they weren't endorsing the Republican Party necessarily, but They were saying, just can't go there, can't do that as a Christian. It's just interesting to me that this would even be close, and it may not. We'll have to see, Jim, whether Dick Morris and Jim Stanley are right next Tuesday, and because these battleground states are very, very tight, and there is a conventional wisdom that says, Kirby, that if a incumbent cannot get over 50% in the pre-election day voting surveys, that he's not going to do that on election day. Any thoughts on that?
Well, certainly, and this is one place where I think Dick Morris is right on target, because he went back and looked at all the modern elections in which you had an incumbent president and a challenger. And so we're talking about Lyndon Johnson and Barry Goldwater. We're talking about Richard Nixon and Walter Mondale. We're talking about Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. Talking about Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale. We're talking about George Herbert Walker Bush and Bill Clinton. We're talking about George W. Bush and John Kerry. And in every single case, there is no exception, undecided votes always swing to what? The challenger. Because if you have been under a president for 3.5 years and you're still undecided, you're not voting for that individual.
Right.
And Dick Morris uses an example that he says, if you were to ask my wife a number of months ago if she was going to be married to me in November and she said, I'm undecided, that's not good news.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that is why, first of all, when you see, even if you see polls where it says, well, it's tied at 47-47, well, Romney wins. That's the first issue right off of there. So first of all, the undecideds, they're undecided about whether they're going to vote for anybody, not whether they're going to vote for the president or the challenger.
I just wonder about these poor undecided people.
I wouldn't want to go to a fast food restaurant with somebody's undecided.
No, undecided, a.k.a. unstable. We'll be back after the break. We'll take your phone calls in a minute. Telephone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840.